Gotcha.
Let's call our meeting to order. And if everyone would find a seat, we'll go ahead and get started. And in the absence of our treasurer, I'll ask the controller to call the roll.
President Baker.
Present.
Mr. Brown. Vice President Cole.
Here.
Ms. Gibbs. Here. Ms. Hudson. Mr. Peretti. Here. Ms. Reyes. Here. We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. And in the absence of the person who I wanted to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this evening, I'm going to call on
Deacon Hooper.
Is Deacon Hooper here? Deacon Hooper, would you mind lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Come right on up to the podium. And everyone, please be upstanding.
All right. Okay. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, what I'd like to do is just quickly read through the agenda that we have before us. The next thing we're going to do is actually appoint a treasurer pro tem, and that'll be a member of the board, and we'll do that since the treasurer is not with us tonight. After that, we'll adopt our agenda as it's presented. We will then take public comment if we have anyone signed up to speak to the board. We'll then hear from our direct reports. We'll then take up board matters, after which we will vote on our consent agenda. We'll then hear any announcements or points of pride from board members. We will then recess into executive session. After that executive session concludes, we'll return here to these chambers, and we'll see you all then, and then we'll adjourn from here. So having said that, what I'd like to do is call for a motion to appoint one of the board as treasurer pro tem for the evening. Yes, Ms. Reyes.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint our vice president as treasurer pro tem.
Okay. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Controller?
President Baker.
Yes.
Vice President Cole.
Yes.
Ms. Gibbs.
Yes.
Mr. Peretti. Yes. Ms. Reyes.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. And what I'd like to do now is hear a motion to adopt the agenda as it's been presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All right. Hearing no discussion. Mr. Controller?
Mr. Vice President Cole.
Yes.
Ms. Gibbs.
Yes.
Mr. Peretti.
Yes.
Ms. Reyes.
Yes.
President Baker.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. All right, what I'd like to do now, until Board Member Brown arrives, is move on to the public comment section. Do we have any speakers this evening signed up to provide public comment? We do not. All right, very good. What I'd like to do now is move on to the interim superintendent's report. And so, Mr. Superintendent, if we could hear from you, appreciate that.
You're welcome. No
Yes, sir.
problem. Thank you very much, Mr. President, members of the Board of Education. This is the week we spend all summer preparing for. On Thursday, August the 23rd, our schools will welcome more than 51,000 students for the first day of classes and the start of our 2018-2019 school year. And by all accounts, from our administrators and building leaders, our bus drivers, our school custodians, secretaries, IT techs, our teachers and classroom staff, I am told by everyone that we will be ready for success on Thursday. Tonight, I want to give you a brief update on our readiness for the new year, beginning with our staffing. To ensure that our classrooms are ready, we are welcoming more than 200 new teachers into our district, joining our core of more than 4,000 teachers and classroom staff. We still have just a handful of secretary positions to fill, but our main offices at each school will be covered for day one with staff who've gone through several days of training to be ready for our students' return. Our buses will be ready to safely roll Thursday morning with adequate staffing of drivers in place for our transportation team. Our safety and security teams will be in position along with our partners from the Columbus Division of Police, that is, pending your vote this evening on the contract with the city. I will share more about our new safety efforts later on in the presentation. Our food production team, who never really had a chance to take a break this summer because of our successful Go Lunch Summer Food Partnership with the City of Columbus. They too will be ready with the first breakfast and lunches of the year. And oh, by the way, lunch on the first day will include pepperoni pizza. How's that for a great way to start the school year? Nearly all of our more than 3,000 classrooms have been readied by Mr. Oldham and his team in business and operations. Our nursing and counseling positions, including our new family ambassadors, will be ready to support our students and provide the counseling and nursing services that they need. And all key administrative positions, from the leaders in our buildings to the leadership team here at the district level, are also covered and ready to provide guidance and support to our district. In countless ways, every day, in every classroom, every hour, every minute, every second, we are making sure that our students have the skills and tools that they need to learn, grow, maintain a positive attitude, and to create their own successes each and every day. And we want our students to know, quoting Charles Swindoll, life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. I want them to know that they are in control of their attitude and success each and every day. A priority in accomplishing that mission of academic success is safety. It is our first and major priority and responsibility as an administration. In Columbus City Schools, we are safer together when we all put safety first. We introduced the Safety Together message last year following the tragic shooting in Parkland, Florida. The Safer Together campaign emphasizes partnerships and encourages our students to join us in taking responsibility for helping keeping our schools safe. If you see something, please say something. And we have a great partnership with the City of Columbus Police Division to ensure that our students will be safe. On the first day of classes, every student will receive a tip card with the number of our school safety tip line. Again, it is 1-844 SAFER Ohio. Again, 1-844 SAFEROH. Anyone can call that information hotline about a safety concern in the district that is affecting one of our students or our buildings. This is a partnership with the Ohio Department of Homeland Security and the Ohio Department of Education. Also, as a part of our safety plan, we have retrofitted many of our schools with safety vestibules at the main entrance. These additions are funded through our Operation Fix-It bond package. These are lobby areas with a two-door system, so a person entering the school doesn't have free access to the building without going through the main office. Completed vestibule projects include Northland High School, Scottwood Elementary School, and Hamilton STEM Academy. Also through Operation Fix-It, repair projects have occurred across dozens of our schools this summer. They are wrapping up or will begin wrapping up in the next few weeks. These improvements will welcome back our students to classroom conditions that will include building-wide air conditioning for the first time in several legacy schools. So, for the first time, Marion Franklin High School, West High School, Walnut Ridge High School, Valley Forge Elementary School, Forest Park Elementary School will have air conditioning in classroom spaces. And I think we need to give our Business Operations and Capital Improvements team a round of applause. At some of those buildings, the cool air will be flowing starting on the first day of school throughout the entire building. For others, the construction work continues, but will shift to overnight work so as not to interrupt the learning environments during the day. And most of those projects will be completed by October. Crews have also completed several roofing repairs this summer, electrical system updates, and asphalt repaving across the district. Schools which have received work so far through the Operation Fix-It initiative have posted signs out in front of the school which remind our visitors and neighbors that you voted for it and we are fixing it as a school district. In our classrooms, we will take our efforts to promote grade level literacy to new heights and higher scores with a virtual personal trainer for reading. Yes, there is an app for that. Our academic support team is expanding classroom use of iReady and Achieve 3000, which are virtual learning tools to help our students boost their reading proficiency and comprehension skills. Both of these tools are focused on reading. iReady is for younger elementary levels. Achieve 3000 is for middle and high school levels. Students will be able to use the tools on their laptops and mobile tablets to access these new opportunities. These virtual tools use online stories and exercises to gauge a student's strength and weakness in literacy skills. The teachers will then be able to use the strategies from those software packages to improve the literacy ability of our students. Once the virtual tutor identifies where a student needs help, the software creates a series of activities and stories to help those needed skills. Better yet, the system also notifies the teacher on ways to change classroom curriculum to further help more students with their overall proficiency. With the approval of the budget, we have also purchased resources like Core Clicks and Short Reads to focus on nonfiction mastery, which is based on our analysis of student performance data over the last couple of years. Based on that data analysis, there is a definite need for improved nonfiction mastery by our students. For this effort to improve literacy, we also pulled together a group of classroom teachers to review and revamp our writing portfolio over the summer. That conversation continues. The writing portfolio is our way to monitor and improve the writing skills of our students. We are working with these teachers to find the best solution to monitor and improve the skills of our students. Although the above activities are a start, we must still continue to intensify our focus on reading. Today, we received an update from ODE on our third grade reading guarantee promotion rate. Of last year's third graders, 88% at this time have either met or exceeded the promotion requirements set by the state. Although this is not a final number, we do not anticipate the number moving too much in the final opportunities that our students will have to reach the cut score for promotion. That means we will have approximately 12% of our third graders, 1 in 10, who continue to need intensive support by us to get their reading skills where they need to be in order to be successful. And the tools such as iReady, Core Clicks, and Short Reads will help us to make them ready. But so too will our unwavering, dedicated, and intensive focus on reading and writing starting on day 1, Thursday, October the 23rd. And in the words of our Chief Academic Officer, we must continue to emphasize and communicate a message of belief to every student, every day, every hour, every minute, every second. We must say to them and stay on top of them and communicate to them that we believe in them and that we believe that they can succeed when they put their minds to it. Tomorrow, I will record the first official message of the school year. It will be sent out through our auto dialer system to all of our families and staff. I will remind them in this message to get a good night's rest so that they can be bright, energetic, engaged, and ready for success when the first bell rings on Thursday morning. When they get to the bus stop, our bus drivers, child care attendants, and intervention aides will greet them with a bright smile and a positive attitude to start the day. And when they get to school, our food service team will greet them with a hearty breakfast to get their bodies energized for an exciting first day. And the teams at all of our buildings will also greet them with a planned Ready for Success rally to engage our students in creating their own successes throughout the entire school year. And they will do that through good attendance, staying safe and healthy, and showing respect and kindness, and always reaching higher in the classroom. Tonight, at your places, you have a window clean that can be put in a car window to show that we are ready for success. You also have a Safer Together flyer. You also have a Ready for Success mailer and a guide to student success that will all be shared with our families and our students on the first day. And last but not least, you have a flyer that says Ready for Success Student Pledge. And what this is that we are asking every student in the district, and we have age-appropriate pledges for our elementary and middle school students, and age-appropriate for our high school students as well. And I'm not going to go through all of the texts that are on them. I'm just going to go through the key highlighted items because you have them at your places. And for those that are in the listening audience, they are available on our website as well. But the 4 pledges that we're asking them to make throughout the entire school year. 1, you will attend every day ready to learn. 2, you will stay safe and healthy every day. 3, you will show respect and kindness to others every day. And last but not least, you will always reach higher to improve yourself every day. So when you look at the last pledge item, always reach higher, the last sentence says, within you is the strength, the patience, and the passion to change the world. Celebrate success. And yes, you just heard it. Celebrate success. That's our pledge, and that's how it ends, because that is our goal each and every day. This past weekend, we celebrated the success one more time for the 2017-2018 school year with 170 students and their families at our summer graduation ceremony. It was a celebration of each of those 107 students' resiliency and belief in themselves and their ability to get the work done. I asked them that day if anyone doubted themselves that they would be sitting here that day. And to a person, they said no. They said that they believed that they could do it, and that's why they were there. That group of young women and men did not give up. They reached higher, and as a result, they earned their diplomas as the final members of the class of 2008 for Columbus City Schools. Success, as you know, is our mission, and it is what we are ready to do on Thursday, the first day of school for our students. For our 51,000 students, let's celebrate the start of another successful school year with our community by supporting our students and our school teams. And with that, Mr. President, members of the board, that concludes my report this evening.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Stanford. Mr. Peretti, I believe you had a question.
It was more just of a comment, but I just wanted to say thank you. You know, to your team, you really unpacked a lot of really good things that have been going on, from summer graduation to the start of school, getting our buildings up. Mr. Oldham and his team, business operations, everyone getting all their classrooms ready. Just really wanted to say thank you and really highlight a lot of the work that this district has been doing, especially getting these buildings ready. It takes a lot of work getting air conditions in these buildings. It's been something that we made as a board and a district a promise, and we are able to continue to fulfill that. So it's been really, really great to hear that. So really just thank you. I'm really looking forward to the events Thursday morning, clap-ins and the tie-tying ceremony. So thank you very much for everything you do.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Peretti, thank you very much. And on behalf of the senior leadership team, on behalf of our association presidents, because they've worked hard in partnership
Yeah.
with us all summer to make this first day of school something special for our students. So thank you for acknowledging the efforts that have been put into this. Appreciate it.
Board Member Gibbs, did you have something you'd like to share?
I did not.
Okay.
But since you called on me. Now, come on now. I never met a microphone I didn't like.
I thought I saw your hand up, but...
No, but I can very briefly share in the thanks to all of our staff and all of our team. And as I look back and I see in the audience, Mr. John Caliglio. Yes, and Lois Carson, who are our partners with both our teachers union and our OPSA union that represent our amazing staff that have worked tirelessly through the summer. I know many of them were in training for these last 3 days, getting ready from joint professional development at the Health Sciences Academy to all the teachers who took over Michael's and Joanne's for the past month, ready in their rooms to even our safety and security and our custodial staff thinking about how they get it done better. And students that will be better served with new air conditioning in their buildings, but those, the work after these 2 weeks of storms on the roofs and getting the rain cleaned up in our buildings and grounds. I thank everyone for all the work that we're doing to get ready for our students on Thursday. And you've done your part, and I really want our parents and our students to do theirs and be ready to go on Thursday morning.
Thank you, Ms. Gibbs. All right, thank you. Does that conclude your report,
does,
Superintendent? Thank you very much. All right. Mr. Controller, would you note the arrival of Board Members Brown and Hudson, please? Thank you. And then 2 things, colleagues, if there's no objection. Number 1, I'd like to bid a happy birthday to Mr. Brown.
As I was rushing out the door, I was going to bring a card that I just got the other day in the mail, because I'm sure that none of you have seen one, but it's my Medicare card.
Oh. Congratulations.
And, you know,
Outstanding. Very good.
yeah,
Much better than the
Yeah.
alternative.
yeah, well, sure.
Yes, sir.
And-
than any of us have.
Very good.
And Ms. Gibbs did mention AARP, and but for a brief time, I happen to have been a member of that for about 30 years.
Oh, wow, good for you. The next item I'd like to bring up, if there's no objection, also pertains to Mr. Brown. If there's no objection, I'd like to move up item 11.3 for immediate consideration. And Mr. Brown, I'm going to call on you. This is our resolution in support of public employees and other working people, if you wouldn't mind reading the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Baker, and this resolution came with a little bit with, mixed feelings, because on the one hand, the United States Supreme Court came out with a horrible decision for all of us, not just for our union friends and those in organized labor, but for management and other organizations as well. On the other hand, it was an opportunity to really think long and hard about the role that unions, that organized labor has played in the history of our country and in our community, and so many good things that come from that. I'm pleased to see that both Lois Carson and John Coneglia are here with us this evening. Let me present the resolution in support of public employees and other working people. Whereas all families should have the means to thrive in safe and healthy communities, and whereas the people who teach our children, clean our schools, drive our school buses, and make our district run deserve good jobs that can support families. And whereas over the last 4 decades, the real wages of working people have declined, while many CEOs and other executives earn more than ever before, it's a gap that is growing. Whereas with the passage of a landmark public employee collective bargaining law in 1983, Ohio set a precedent for cooperation between public sector unions and state and local administrators that has proven largely beneficial for more than 30 years. Whereas allowing public sector unions to bargain collectively for wages, benefits, and workplace conditions has created far greater stability in Ohio. I doubt very many of you in this room remember back to the days before 1983 and the large number of strikes across the state, including in schools, and the length of some of those. Stability is a good thing. Whereas being able to come together in unions gives people, particularly women and people of color, a powerful voice in speaking up for themselves, their families, and their communities, and ensures that they are treated with dignity and respect at work. And whereas overall, public workers, including our classified and certificated staff, are modestly compensated, often paid less than private workers with comparable education and experience. And whereas on June 27, 2018, this past June, the United States Supreme Court decided the case of Janus versus AFSCME Council 31, which restricts unions from requiring fees from non-member employees who benefit from collective bargaining, thereby weakening the union's power to negotiate effectively on behalf of all public sector workers, including all those we employ to help operate our public schools. And whereas the court's decision by a margin of 5-4 denies public sector workers the freedom to access strong unions that make our communities and schools safe, more equitable, and strong. And whereas the Janus decision is yet another blow to the American middle class and to efforts to close the gaping income disparities that exist in our community and in this country. And whereas the Janus decision may significantly disrupt the stable relationship that has developed in the public sector between labor and management, particularly in Ohio, since 1983, and whereas Janus may yet damage labor peace and stability as it unravels a legal precedent that for decades has discouraged unions from using strong tactics to achieve solidarity and compete for members, and that now will let our teachers and support staff, along with other public employees, enjoy the benefits of union contracts with no requirement that they pay for the union-provided services. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of Columbus City Schools supports the freedom of all employees to exercise their rights to a voice and respect on the job through joining together in strong unions. And be it further resolved that Columbus City Schools affirms its commitment to supporting public sector workers and recognizes the important role unions play in strong, high-quality schools and in our communities.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. I'd like to invite Presidents Carson and Coniglio to the podium and offer you the opportunity to provide some comments. I'd like to provide that opportunity to my colleagues as well.
Honorable board members, thank you very much. I think the resolution says it all in the benefits of unions. in helping people achieve middle class. And many of our residents in Columbus have benefited from unions and allowed them to join the middle class. So thank you for the support and the resolution.
Good evening. This evening, I'm proud to stand as the president for classified employees. I represent 3,000 plus members here in Columbus City School. I also wear two hats, and I represent over 30,000 public school employees across the state of Ohio. It makes me proud to know that our board understands the impact that our members have in the community. Without good paying jobs, good working relationships, our communities would go down. So we are helping the communities that we live in. We're helping the children that come to our school district by working together in partnership. So on behalf of some of my presidents back there who always have my back, it makes me feel good to know tonight I can look at this group here, and John and I can say we look forward to an awesome school year working with you guys, and we appreciate this resolution that you put forward on behalf of the members that we serve daily.
Thank you very much. I'd like to ask anyone who's here with CEA or OPSI or any affiliate to please stand and be recognized. And after my colleagues have had the chance to comment and we pass this piece of legislation, I'll ask you presidents to come back up to have a photograph taken. Colleagues, would anyone like to share any additional comments? I do want to thank Mr. Brown, who authored the first draft of this document and did a very good job. So thank you for the time that you took. And if there are no other comments from my colleagues, Ms. Gibbs.
Just a very brief comment. One is in thanking Board Member Brown for the due diligence on this resolution, and as a proud daughter of AFSCME 1632 and AFSCME Ohio Council 8 when it was on Broad Street next to Young Me. So in 1983, I remember not being able to go to school because there was a bus strike. And I remember standing in the State House campaigning for a fair share fee. And that's when the whole family had to campaign and knock on doors and really fight. If there is dignity in all work, then there has to be dignity in all workers. And as a proud union daughter, I bring that fight every day to make sure that our students will never have to decide where they want to go based on where they came from or who they are or how they were born. And so I have to say thank you to all of our labor unions and those who support it and those who help keep it going. And I'm proud of this board for standing and recognizing it. So thank you again, Board Member Brown, and thank you to all of the labor unions across every sector of this community that helps keep our community and our nation strong.
Thank you, Ms. Gibbs. Ms. Hudson?
Thank you, President Baker. I also thank you so much, Board Member Brown. That was, I appreciate all the effort and glad that we could have this resolution. I would just say, with a little bit of my lawyer hat on and otherwise, but as living through times when Supreme Court decisions have seemed to change my life and change the lives of folks around me, and working to get those changed. It isn't always quick. But it's how we all work together to get it done. And I believe that this is certainly not forever, and I believe that we will create that change. And it's a spirit of that teamwork that's here today and that's around all of us, and that John, Lois, and all of your colleagues bring across the nation that will make this change. We'll make this change. But it's a terrible decision, and one I know we'll have to work hard to overturn.
Thank you, Ms. Hudson. Mr. Vice President.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just very quickly, I'm incredibly disappointed in the Supreme Court decision on Janus. But what I am also confident in is that I think that we have the opportunity to overcome it. I think that this puts us more in a space of figuring out how do we collaborate to make our community survive so that our families survive. How do we find the symbiosis that becomes that sweet spot for our success? I had the opportunity to officiate our summer graduation ceremony, and I talked to that audience about the value of a Columbus City School education. And I shared with them some very positive statistics about a 78% graduation rate, about 67 million, almost 68 million in scholarships and awards to our students. I didn't get a chance to talk about how many students we transport on a daily basis. That's more than people fly all over this country. We transport more kids in a day than people fly across the United States on airplanes and travel and transit like that. When you understand the bigness of this operation and see the quality of its result, and then look at who actually had hands on that, our bus drivers, our food service workers, our teachers, our secretaries. When you see who had their hands on that, that's when you see what real impact this decision has on everyday working folk who, I think got their legs kicked from up under them and done deliberately and politically. So I just thank you. I'm riding with you. I support you. And thank you, Mr. Brown, for such a wonderfully written resolution.
Mr. Brown?
Two very brief points. One of the things that I've observed over the years and saw very clearly when the General Assembly was considering Senate Bill 5 some years ago is that there's a silver lining here. And that experience helped inspire and motivate lots of people to come out and work with each other in ways that hadn't occurred before, and to work for a good purpose of defeating those efforts. That silver lining, at least in my mind, also applies to the country's response to the 2016 election. And I think that we've got some real opportunities here. This has really helped me, and I hope others, focus on these relationships again in a way that we've not necessarily done for many years. The second point is that I am aware, for what it's worth, that there is interest by some others in borrowing this and doing perhaps something similar. I want to speak for any other organization or any other governmental entity, but I suspect, more than suspect, I believe, that there will be others throughout this community and throughout the state who want to take this up and stand with our friends in organized labor on this kind of an issue. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. So I'll just say we've seen this type of troubling and disconcerting and disenfranchising activity over the last few years, and I think we'll all stand together as soldiers, shoulder to shoulder, as we push back on not only this infringement, but on so many others. And so I look forward to the fight. Colleagues, if there's nothing further, Mr. Controller, would you mind calling the roll on this item?
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Vice President Cole?
Absolutely, yes.
Ms. Gibbs? Ms. Hudson?
Yes.
Mr. Peretti?
Yes.
Ms. Reyes?
Yes.
President Baker?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, and I'd like to ask Presidents Caniglio and Carson to join us up front for a photograph, if you would indulge us, please. And let's give a round of applause. And the other presidents as well, if they would like to join us, we'd appreciate that, if you don't mind.
Short people, or you gotta say short people get together? Short people. Tall people in the back.
No, you have to see in the front.
All right, thank you very much. I think we'll go back to the agenda as printed, and the next item is Internal Auditor's Report. Madam Internal Auditor, have you anything to share with the board this evening?
Thank you, President Baker, Vice President Coe. This Thursday, Audit and Accountability will be having their monthly meeting at 3:30 in the Cabinet Room, and you're all invited. And prior to that meeting, the Auditor of State will be wanting to have an entrance conference to go over the FY18 audit, and that will be at 2:30. So I will make sure that all of you receive an invite to that meeting also.
Thank you very much. Any questions for the Internal Auditor today? Thank you for your report. Mr. Controller, have you anything to share from the Office of the Treasurer?
No, sir, I have nothing tonight to share.
You do not. Well, thank you for being here. Let's move on to board matters. It's at this point that I'd like to recognize two women who've passed recently, both graduates of public schools. One, Sybil Edwards McNabb, who was local, who led our chapter of NAACP for some time, and then I believe the statewide chapter as well she was involved with, if I recall. And the other is Aretha Franklin. So you may have heard some of her music as you came in. So two powerful women who left a strong legacy, who were graduates of public school. So let's just take a moment of silence. Thank you very much. Let's move on then to discussion of upcoming retreats. So the board decided to set 4 dates. They are October 30th, January 29th, April 30th, and June 25th for retreats. And we agreed that at this board meeting we would discuss, or at least begin to have some discussions about potential facilitators for those retreats. So Dr. Rausch is here to report on his progress to that end. Dr. Rausch?
Thank you, President Baker, Vice President Cole, and members of the board. To date, not only did a few of you submit some suggestions, but also per your directive at the August 1st meeting, I reached out to Professor Froelich, who has been assisting you with the search, and he provided some additional names as well. So at this point, we've got about 10 names of individuals. I'll go ahead and list them so that you know who has been suggested to you. It's Barbara Smoot with Weld, Deborah Keys with Perkins Consulting, Kathy Lasota, who is formerly with OSBA, but is now doing some independent consulting since her retirement, Nancy Rogers with Ohio State University, Sarah Cole with The Ohio State University, Joseph Stolberg with The Ohio State University. There's a theme for the next several here. William Froelich with The Ohio State University. Maria Moni, who is formerly with The Ohio State University. Maggie Lewis, who is with The Ohio State University Fisher College of Business, so a little more specificity there. Kim Braswell with Chemistry. And then Michael Casserly of the Council of Great City Schools. We've reached out to these individuals to kind of give them the dates to see what their availability is, as well as to kind of gauge if they have an interest in certainly providing services, and then trying to get a cost estimate. So those requests are outstanding. I've received a few back. We're still waiting on a number to be returned. So hopefully, by the time we hit the September 4th meeting, we would have an answer from all of those, or at least those of the at least responses from those who are interested and certainly and have the time to be able to serve in this particular capacity. I'm also happy at that particular point in time to provide some options. I know there was some discussion last time as far as whether or not you may have one facilitator do all 4 sessions or try to break them up based upon what the content is. And so based upon the responses that we get back as well, I'm happy to provide that information to the board as well, and then allow you at a subsequent meeting then to deliberate and decide exactly how you wish to proceed and who you wish to engage.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Roush. We appreciate that. And so what I'd like to ask you, colleagues, is if you have any additional information or thoughts that you'd like to share with Dr. Roush as he continues to compile this information with the intent of preparing a recommendation to us, please do share that with him via email in the next week or so. Okay.
That would be very helpful, yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Roush. If there are no other questions, we appreciate the update. Thank you. All right, let's move on then to item 8.2, and what I'd like to do is ask Dr. Stanford to talk to us about the building at 278 East Spring Street, the building we refer to as Trades and Industry Building. So, Dr. Stanford, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. What I'd like to do is give you a little bit of background information that will hopefully provide you the information you need to have this discussion, and to also share with you the specific request from the organization that is interested in the building. Last year, the Board of Education negotiated a termination of the current lease with the Childhood Development Center to take effect on December the 31st, 2018. The Board of Education negotiated this lease termination with an intent to sell the property at its appraised value. Per Ohio law, the Board of Education declared the property as a surplus in September of 2016 and offered it for sale to all charter schools in June of 2017. The property did not sell to a charter school during the statutory grace period in 2017. As you know, properties that are not sold to a charter school during that statutory grace period are available for public auction or a direct sale to specific public entities under Ohio law. Colleges and universities are public entities eligible for a direct sale under Ohio law. Real estate director Ann Lanzotti reached out to Columbus State Community College in September of 2017 to see if they had an interest in the property, since Columbus State Community College is in close proximity to the property. President Harrison and other officials from Columbus State toured the property for the first time in October of 2017. Since that first tour, Columbus State officials have toured the property several times over the last 8 months, with the most recent tour being in June of 2018. Columbus State is very interested in the property and would like to explore the possibility with the Board of Education of making an offer to purchase the property. They have to secure the funding for the purchase and to conduct due diligence on the property prior to entering a contract. If the due diligence is successful and they are unable to secure the funding immediately, Columbus State would like to explore the possibility of a lease purchase option with the Board of Education for the property. Our outside counsel at Dinsmore researched if the Board of Education is authorized under Ohio law to enter a lease purchase agreement with Columbus State or any other public entity under that portion of Ohio law. The conclusion of Dinsmore is that the Board of Education is authorized under Ohio law to enter into a lease purchase agreement with Columbus State under the direct sale provision in Revised Code Section 3313.41C, as in cat. Because the property has already gone through the required charter school statutory period, the board has the authority to enter in such an agreement. The Board of Education has this flexibility to craft a direct sale along any terms it wishes in order to sell the property and to complete the deal. Columbus State has an educational and workforce development purpose intended for the use of the property. Columbus State is in conversation with Tesla, Honda, Ford, the Central Ohio Automotive Dealer Association, Jobs Ohio, and Smart Columbus to establish a modern automotive training center of excellence through a public-private partnership. Dr. Harrison is also very open to discussing how our students may be able to benefit from this particular planned use of the property, such as a dual enrollment program. Columbus State would like to start preparations on the property if the board moves forward with them for this project in January of 2019. In pursuit of its interest in the property, Columbus State is making a request at this time. The request by Columbus State is that the Board of Education take the property off of the market as quickly as possible to allow them an opportunity to continue their conversations with their project partners and to conduct their own due diligence on the property. Columbus State has not specified a timeline for the request to take the property off of the market. However, they definitely want to have more conversation, and they definitely are very interested in the property. Today, this agenda item is an opportunity for the Board of Education to discuss this proposal and the request by Columbus State. At this time, Mr. President, that concludes my remarks, and we do have a representative from Columbus State here to answer any questions that the board may have as well.
Thank you, Dr. Stanford. So at this point, you are looking for some direction from the board as to how we might proceed with Columbus State.
Yes.
All right. Colleagues, comments, questions? So, yes, Mr. Vice President.
Just a very quick comment. Thank you so much for this presentation, and more particularly for the consideration of career tech curriculum benefit to our students. I love to see how far we can take this, and even see how we can wet the beak of the city itself, possibly to solicit some sort of support in a jobs initiative for youngsters. So I'd love to, yes, the city of Columbus. So I'd love to see how, moving forward, we can make this happen for our kids as much as a benefit for our community college local here.
Thank you. Board Member Peretti, then Hudson, then Brown.
Yeah, I want to echo that. I want to look forward to these conversations continuing and really want to focus in on the curriculum aspect, on how our students get to this point. As you know, a majority of Columbus State students are from Columbus City schools. So making sure that we have a very good dialogue and back and forth with our folks and with their folks on how we can make sure our curriculum lines up with them and that there is a natural pipeline to this and really heavily accessed by Columbus City schools. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Board Member Hudson.
Yes, thank you, President Baker. Thank you, Dr. Stanford. It seems that this aligns really well with the Smart Cities initiative as well. Is that part of the proposal, and/or, is that does everybody see that that's a possibility?
Mr. President, Ms. Hudson, I believe so. As a part of the Smart Columbus initiative, yes, that's a part of the city's Smart Cities program.
Yes, I'm real pleased, and I just wanted to lift that out. Thank you.
Mr. Brown.
Yes, I'm very excited about the opportunity to expand on our relationship with Columbus State. I see so many wonderful opportunities, and to be able to work jointly with them on this, and hopefully to leverage this into even greater opportunities, especially in the career tech education area, I think is just is great. I know that they are currently doing some incredible things with culinary arts, and that's another area that is, ripe for further discussion and opportunity, and so much more. I think that the more we can reach out to our partners in the community, whether it's Columbus State or Ohio State or some others, that there's some really good resources and reciprocal benefits. So I like it.
Thank you. Board Member Reyes.
Thank you. I too am excited about that, and I'm sure that Dr. Harrison, his staff is doing a very good job of reaching out to appropriate partners. In my previous role with my previous company, we did a lot of trips to South Texas where they actually have those types of partnerships. Automotive is a very large part of what some of the technical colleges and do, and a lot of the insurance companies are actually very interested. It's not only the automotive, because they are looking for claims adjusters and things like that, and those are very good methods of being aligned with our student education. A lot of our students, a lot of people, when they talk about having a type of facility that way, they automatically think our kids can only be mechanics. Well, if you don't necessarily have to be a mechanic, you can also make very good money being a claims adjuster, and that actually, what we sold was you don't actually have to get dirty. You actually don't, and actually, some people don't want to, and especially some of our women, some of our girls may say, maybe that's not what I want to do, even though we're very proud when I visited some of those technical colleges that there were a lot of our girls were in there. Not enough, but a lot. But there are other careers that are a possibility through that. I'm assuming that as we go through this process, we will also establish some sort of timeline to make a decision. I know that projects like this take time, but at some point, I'm assuming that we're going to say 12, 1 to 2 years or 12 to 18 months. So I just want to put that out there.
Board Member Gibbs.
Yes. So, two things. Number one, who is the rep that's with us from Columbus State? I'd be interested to see.
If you don't mind, Mr. President, Ms. Gibbs, I'll ask Ms. Lanzati to come up and introduce our guest from Columbus State.
They can just wave. Oh, hey, there you go.
President Baker, Vice President Cole, Ms. Gibbs. I have with me tonight Mr. Rob Coventry. He's the Director of Facility Planning and Development for Columbus State.
Okay. Hi. Hello. Hi. We just referenced you. I wanted to make sure we knew who you were and wanted to say thank you. And my comments are around just the evolution of a dream, and I do think that the Idle Tech program would be good. I would be very interested in the access that our students at Fort Hays would have, and all of our curriculum alignment. And to your point, Board Member Reyes, of your former employer, I would love to see a partnership. If you don't know, Nationwide Insurance sponsored Dale Earnhardt Jr. for NASCAR. And y'all know my internal quest to have what? A NASCAR high school, that's right. And it is not without precedence. There are schools across this nation that are aviation, logistics, and transportation. So I hope that as you look forward to the innovative part of what that center can be, that you keep in mind the P14 track of what we can do with joint facilities and joint curriculum. And we could probably get 2 NASCAR drivers to Columbus with an incredible partnership. So thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Baker.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Coventry, thank you for being here. Please offer our best regards to President Harrison. Columbus State continues to be an awesome partner and provides outstanding opportunities to our graduates and our students. So I do believe, Mr. Brown, did you have a final comment?
Just very briefly, I'm remembering a conversation that I had at least a year ago with respect to automotive technology, and perhaps putting him on the spot since I'm going to speak publicly. Reichert tells me that he really would like some opportunities to work with us. And, Reichert is perhaps the largest, if not one of the largest dealerships in the country. And he very much would welcome an opportunity to get involved and help support. The reality is that dealers need people to work making repairs, and the pipeline for that is not been flowing real heavily. So there are opportunities.
Thank you very much, Mr. Superintendent.
Mr. President, to Mr. Brown, thank you very much for that. And as I turn and look to the back of the room, our Career and Tech Executive Director, Peggy Cleary, is smiling very broadly. And so I'm pretty sure she will be on top of that piece of information you shared with us.
Unless I'm mistaken, I think there's a consensus from my colleagues that they would like to have you proceed as you have described.
So again, to make the board fully aware, what I will do now, based on this conversation and based on the feedback, with Ms. Lanzotti and with Ryan Aiello at Dinsmore, we will begin having those conversations and hopefully be able to have something for the board to consider at the next board meeting on September the 4th about taking the property off the market and having more detailed information, hopefully about timelines and about the plans going forward.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Mr. Coventry, for being here. And Ann Lanzotti, thank you as always very much. That concludes our discussion on item 8.2. Let's move on then to our consent agenda, colleagues. And prior to voting on that, I'd like to, actually, let's have a motion to adopt the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All right. And I'd like to call on Mr. Brown, who I think wants to offer an amendment related to a PRC recommendation.
Yes, I'm sorry. We had a first reading of some policy amendments at the last meeting, and there was one suggestion made from a board member. I did take that suggestion to our policy review committee to get their thoughts and input, and they agreed unanimously with the amendment that was suggested. Therefore, in policy 8300, which is the COOP policy, continuity of organizational operations plan, which is on page 33 of the package. The last line after training, we're going to add the words including simulations.
So you're moving to amend?
I'm moving to amend the policy in that fashion.
Okay, and thank you very much for following up on that recommendation, taking it to the committee. Moved and seconded. Okay, so we are now contemplating an amended consent agenda. Colleagues, any question or comment on any piece of legislation contained within the consent agenda this evening? Mr. Braverman.
President, I think with the motion on the floor to amend policy, I think we need to vote on that before you return to the consent agenda as a whole.
Yes, you are correct. Yes, Mr. Controller, thank you for catching that.
Ms. Gibbs.
Ms. Gibbs.
I said Ms. Gibbs. Ms. Hudson.
Yes.
Mr. Peretti.
Yes.
Ms. Reyes.
Yes.
President Baker.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Vice President Cole.
Yes.
Motion carries.
We are now contemplating an amended consent agenda. Colleagues, any questions or comments? Mr. Brown?
I would simply voice, again, as I have in the past, my objections to item 11.2 with regard to board travel, and suggest that we not expend those funds at this time. One, awaiting board discussion at retreat of what's an appropriate policy for this and how we can determine what is and what is not appropriate. And secondly, we did recently go through a lot of cost cutting, and I think that we should be looking at setting a good example for the rest of the schools and be models in this. So,
Mr. Brown. Any other comments? Seeing none? Mr. Controller?
Mr. Peretti?
Yes.
Ms. Reyes?
Yes.
President Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
yes, except as to 11.2, which is a no.
Vice President Cole?
Yes.
Ms. Gibbs?
Yes.
Ms. Hudson?
Yes, but I abstain on 13.3, 15.8, 15.9.
Motion carries.
Thank you, sir. Let's move on, and thank you, colleagues. Let's move on then to announcements. Any brief points of pride or other items you'd like to share? Ms. Gibbs.
Is Dr. Stamper going to introduce? Yes. The people we just voted on.
Mr. President, members of the Board of Education, I would like to introduce two of the administrators who you just approved in the consent agenda. First, we have Roderick Watson. Mr. Watson has gone from being a leadership intern to being the assistant principal at Yorktown Middle School, and I believe he has at least one member of his family still here. Oh, and the others are coming in the door. So please welcome them to the Columbus City School family. And next, last but not least, we have Deacon Hooper and he is going from being an assistant principal outside of Columbus City Schools to being an assistant principal at Beechcroft High School. And joining him this evening is his wife, Mrs. Hooper, as well. And his parents. Oh, wow. And I have to also mention that when I met Mr. Hooper the other day for the first time, he informed me that he is so excited about this opportunity because not only is he a graduate of Beechcroft High School, he lives right around the corner from the school also. So he can walk to work every morning.
Point of pride, quickly.
Yes, Mr. Cole.
He's also a former teacher at Ecole Kenwood, former basketball coach at Ecole Kenwood in the district.
Yes.
So he is no stranger to us at all. Welcome back. His wife is also an employee in the district as well at Liberty. She's a school counselor, yes.
Very good. Congratulations. Ms. Gibbs.
And I welcome both of you to the Columbus City School family, and that adorable little son of yours is absolutely cute. But I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the community leaders from Brittany Hill sitting right behind Mr. Hooper, who is Mr. and Miss Hooper, and Deacon is one of a number of brothers and sisters, all of which are Columbus City grads, and so he's Davia's brother. And so Davia is a proud graduate of the Columbus Alternative High School, just for the record. But that's Brittany Hills back there, and they've been a stalwart family in the community for years, and we look to them for points of pride and leadership. So thank you very much, Mr. and Mrs. Hooper. And Sora, Michelle. Ooh. Okay. That's
Is she a
all.
Delta?
She is a Delta.
Oh, very good, very good, very good. Well, all right. A family devoted to service. I like that. All right. Any other comments, points of pride, Ms. Reyes?
Thank you, President Baker. I just wanted to, I had the opportunity on Sunday to do a motorcycle ride. Yes, a motorcycle ride with New Salem Ministries, Dr. Ruffin, and many of the parishioners there, and people from First Church and Hilliard School District. This is the second year that we've done this, over 25 riders. We attempt to go to every high school in the district and say prayer and blessings and good thoughts to the beginning of the year. We made it to almost half of our schools today. We made it to all sections of the city, but it's a difficult route to make it to all 21 high schools. But just wanted to thank them for the opportunity, thank them for thinking about our school community, and to ensure that we have a good start of the year. Channel 4 and Channel 6 actually covered, and Dr. Stanford was actually at work and had the opportunity to also meet some of the drivers. But I want to personally thank Dr. Ruffin and all the ministers and deacons and school board members or school officials, retired Columbus City School folks that actually came out. There's a lot of them for me to mention, and I'll forget somebody, so I don't want to feel bad. It was a wonderful day to ride and just a wonderful opportunity. So those of you in the district that have a motorcycle and want to join us next year, please keep your eyes and ears open, or fix your motorcycle before next year, and please join us. It's a wonderful opportunity. We also had, before I forget, we also had the opportunity to include people who are walking by our schools in our conversation and in our prayer, to let them know that it's important not only to pray for our schools, but also, or to keep our schools in mind, but also to keep our community and our surrounding neighbors in mind as we start the school year.
Thank you, Board Member Reyes. Ms. Hudson?
Thank you, President Baker. Dr. Stanford, I'm just wondering if maybe I missed this at the beginning. Did you do a backpack update?
We did not do it.
I'm wondering how we're doing. I have to just thank your team and everyone in the community. It sounds like it's just been an amazing response. So love to hear how it's going. And we've donated and given backpack and all kinds of things. So,
Mr. President, to Ms. Hudson and members of the Board of Education, thank you for that opportunity. I had not mentioned it. And we, on Saturday, while some of us were at graduation, we had an army of teachers and members of OPSE and others from around the community. I understand Dr. Rouse brought his son's Boy Scout troop, and they spent the entire morning stuffing backpacks so that they can be ready for the first day of school. And so I'm going to call on Mr. Varner to come up and give us more details. But as he's walking up, again, I just want to thank Scott and his team for the countless hours that they have put into this initiative, working with Channel 4, and also to thank Channel 4 for their leadership in this effort. They have done a great job in this partnership, and so give us an update on where we are.
President Baker, Board Member Hudson, history is hard to make, and so this was a historic effort to give all of our students a backpack on the first day of school, to have 52,000 stuffed backpacks ready to go. We continue to get donations in. In fact, tomorrow we will have a truckload of school supplies coming from Kroger that will really help with our numbers. We have donations that continue to come in online, those who are very generous in giving to the effort, which means sometimes getting those, that process. So that truckload will come in tomorrow. We'll actually even have some supplies that may come in Thursday morning. So we will have a team of people running around the district and around the city tomorrow and even on Thursday, trying to get all those backpacks to our young people. We are very close. I think we will have something for all of our young people, though that first or second day of school. Backpacks of varying sizes and shapes and designs and colors, filled with a multitude of different basic school supplies to get them ready. And I think it will, more importantly, send a very strong message to all of those young people that there is an entire community ready to see them succeed.
If I might just follow up, I think
and I want to thank all that you've done, Scott, and with Channel 4 has a great shopping list for folks listening if they want to fill up a backpack. But really, they've made it so easy too, because you can donate and how much per backpack? It could be like, what, $10?
So the team at Channel 4 has been amazing. They've found a partner who will supply to them a stuffed backpack for $10. So for $10, you can help support one student. For $270, that's an entire classroom.
Classroom, and there are businesses, folks can take up a collection at work, or if you can dig in your own pocket. I mean, there are some people that could do that, and I'll tell you what, that it will go a long, that was astonishing, because what it cost me to fill up a backpack was a lot more than $10. So I thought, I'm going to support that classroom. So anyhow, so thank you, but I'm just, it's like so exciting, and I'm looking forward to, I'm sure you're going to have a lot of excited faces and a lot of excited students and teachers who won't have to dig in their pockets like they do to at least to get things started, and we know that they are so generous, and staff as well, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Varner. Ms. Gibbs?
The first was a shout out. This is a point of pride. So today I had the opportunity to go to Global Academy at Brookhaven, where our guidance counselors and our I Know I Can team were doing some professional development, getting ready to work in their respective offices and work together for this year. And I had an opportunity to share a few words with them and inspire them, and hopefully, they really inspired me about the class of 2019 and their goal to get every single one of them across the graduation stage. And so for that, I am always amazed. We put a lot of emphasis on our classroom teachers where they should be, but our guidance counselors are there to really help our students get over the hump, get past that breakup, get over some of the non-academic barriers that keep them from focusing on their jobs. So to all of our guidance counselors, and I know I ride you hard because the lives are literally in your hands, so I really want to call them out and make sure they are excited and inspired to do their work for this year. Secondly, the services for Sybil Edward McNabb. The Open Community House is Friday, August 24th at the King Arts Complex from 7 to 9 p.m. She was a member of the African American Advisory Council here, and her sister was the late Charlene Morgan, who was a former school board member. And their legacy just runs very long. So if you want to attend the community service, it's Friday from 7 to 9. And she asked you wear bright colors or African attire, as she always normally had on. Both of her daughters are graduates of the Columbus Alternative High School, and her daughter, Tawanda, has passed, who is my classmate, but her current daughter, Traphilia, works at NASA and is a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta, so she's amazing, and if you want to come out and commemorate that community leader, that'll be great. But finally, before school even started back, it pays to have good grades, and it pays to have 90% attendance. And if you had 90% attendance, were at the top of your class, and you were in any one of our Columbus City schools for the past year, Ms. Gillison, can you come to the mic and tell them what kind of call you got last week? Come and tell me. Yes, come tell me. Yes. This is a point of pride. Yes.
Last Thursday at 12:18 p.m., we got a notification that we had 1,000 tickets to the Jay-Z and Beyonce concert that was happening that same day.
Yes.
And so, working with my partner in crime here, we looked at students that had 90% attendance in the class of cohort 2019, which meant they have held that attendance rate year after year after year. And if you were on track to graduate, then you got a call, a robo-dialer, Jackie Bryant is our other partner in crime, telling them to get ready because Jay and Bay are on the run, and they just dropped off 1,000 tickets. And to our internal auditor, we did not take possession of those tickets. So they picked their tickets up from the box office. All we did was provide the list of students, and we had students, and they took their parents and their friends. We've got pictures of them. Once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to see Jay-Z and Beyonce on the Run Tour 2.
Yes, thank you. I want to give a shout out to the team. That was no easy feat. They had to clear legal, audit, everything, PR, crisis scenarios, but opportunities are just that. They're not planned, right? But if you were prepared and you had done your work freshman to junior year, you had 2 tickets waiting for you. So that's just a message to our students. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And you can take advantage of those amazing opportunities. And the concert was incredible. I didn't go, but everybody Facebook Lived it. So I felt like I was there. And I'm just thank you, because we don't always get a chance to do that. But when we can, when people partner with us, when someone has a conversation and it materializes, our kids benefit. So thank everyone who made that happen.
Mr. Superintendent?
Mr. President, to Ms. Gibbs, we also have to give a great appreciation to the Council of Great City Schools and Michael Casserly in particular, because he also was coordinating this on the front end with the J and Bay promoters. And so he did some tremendous work as well.
Thank you. Awesome. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Great news. Anyone else have anything that they would like to share? I'll say again what a great time summer graduation was, and watching those 107 students walk across the stage, I'll never forget it. Mr. Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I do have something that I don't think a whole lot of people paid attention to this past week, but I'd like to congratulate Dr. Klein and Dr. Roush for their advocacy on behalf of Columbus City Schools. If you aren't aware, ODE announced this week that the linkage study that Drs. Klein and Roush fought so hard for last year for our third grade students proved that there were inconsistencies in the cut scores for the 2016-2017 NWEA tests. And as a result of their hard work, the department also announced in this announcement that they will allow districts to use the new revised cut scores on the NWEA test for the 2018-2019 school year. And they did a tremendous effort. They fought for this for several months, and we finally saw the payoff this week. And so, if you don't mind, I'd just like to
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. You know, you shouldn't have to fight so hard on behalf of our kids. But you stood up and you did the right thing on behalf of our kids, and so I couldn't be more proud. And you're really smart, too, so that's how you figured it out. Good job.
People still need to be enrolled.
Oh, yes. Do we want to talk about enrolling at Central Enrollment? School's about to start. Dr. Klein, do you want to talk about that quickly?
I would be honored.
Okay.
President Baker, to all of the board members and to our superintendent, I'd just like to say that enrollment is going very, very smoothly, and it's very exciting. They are still there right now. Remember, we're open till 7:30 on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays, all day on Saturday. Unfortunately, it rained last Saturday, so if you have any pull with the man upstairs, let's make sure it doesn't rain this Saturday, because we need to finish all of our enrollments. And for those in the listening audience, if you don't have an enrollment appointment, please, pretty please, go online, do your online registration, make your appointment, but then if you really want to get your kid in before Thursday, show up first thing in the morning at 8 a.m. at the Central Enrollment Center. If someone does not show up for an appointment, we take the next person in a walk-in line ticket. So please, please, we want your kids to be there on the first day with their bright, smiling faces. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Klein. If there is nothing else before the board at this time, I'm going to ask the Vice President to offer a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. It is recommended that the Board of Education recess into executive session per Section 121.22 G1 to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, or demotion of a public employee or official, or the investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee, official, licensee, or regulated individual.
Moved and seconded, and I'd like to remind everyone who's here that the board will plan to return here to these chambers after the executive session and potentially consider a resolution related to that executive session. Mr. Controller?
Ms. Reyes?
Yes.
President Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Brown? Vice President Cole?
Yes.
Ms. Gibbs?
Yes.
Ms. Hudson?
Yes.
Mr. Peretti? Yes. Motion carries.
Thank you. The board will now recess into executive session. Let us reconvene our business meeting as we return from executive session. And I'm going to ask for a motion to amend the agenda to add a resolution for consideration.
So moved. Mr. President, motion to amend the agenda to include a resolution that addresses the superintendent search.
Is there a second? And then I'll read it.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Resolution. Oh, actually, perhaps we should call the roll on adding it.
Did we both come out of executive session? Did we come out of executive session?
Yeah, right.
We don't need to.
You just come straight out.
Okay.
Vote to amend the agenda.
So we have a motion, we have a second. Mr. Controller?
President Baker?
Yes, to add.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Vice President Cole?
Yes.
Ms. Gibbs? Ms. Hudson?
Yes.
Mr. Peretti?
Yes.
Ms. Reyes? Motion carries.
Thank you very much. The resolution reads as follows. Whereas BWP, the search firm hired to conduct a search for a new superintendent for the Columbus City Schools, provided a personnel update regarding the search. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby accepts the candidates recommended by BWP, which include Mr. Terry Dade, Dr. Talisa Dixon, Mr. Scott Inskeep, Dr. Ava Tasker-Mitchell, Dr. John Stanford, and Dr. Jason Strickland, and hereby authorizes BWP to proceed with reference checks on the submitted candidates as well as any other activities relevant to fulfilling the search process. On September 5th, 2018, the board will convene to review and consider these candidates and make the next determination on the candidates to be interviewed. Mr. Controller, are you prepared to call the roll on the resolution?
Yes.
We have discussion.
Is there discussion?
Yeah, I just want to, make clear this resolution is stating that these are the recommendations that BWP has made and presented to the board. This is not an indication any more than that. And then on the 5th, that we will be meeting to discuss on who we will interview next.
May we call the roll now?
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Vice President Cole?
Yes.
Ms. Gibbs?
Yes.
Ms. Hudson?
Yes.
Mr. Peretti?
Yes.
Ms. Reyes?
Yes.
President Baker?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. If there is nothing...
We adjourn?
Very good. And is there a second? Moved and seconded. Mr. Controller, please call the roll.
Vice President Cole?
Yes.
Ms. Gibbs?
Yes.
Ms. Hudson?
Yes.
Mr. Peretti?
Yes.
Ms. Reyes?
Yes.
President Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Motion carries.
We stand adjourned, colleagues. I thank you.